Okay, let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of your favorite, absolutely favorite podcast.
Riffin with Griffin, yeah.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
With Griffin,
Riffin with Griffin.
with Griffin, yeah.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
With Griffin, baby.
Yes.
Griffin with Griffin.
And we're back at it. Not a long intro today, guys, because kind of a long intro that I'm going to be yip-yapping with you guys about. But once again, welcome back to Riffin with Griffin. I want to thank everybody for watching, subscribing, sharing, listening. Listening on all the audio places, watching on YouTube, clips on Instagram, and all that. I really appreciate you guys listening to the podcast. It's been difficult during this quarantine to try to put out episodes and try to collect guests. So, for instance, this particular episode I filmed not a long time ago, but it seems like a long time ago because of how fast the news cycle goes. I mean, there's always some new interesting or crazy thing to talk about, and then it's like you have somebody on the podcast, and then you wish, oh man, I wish they were on now as opposed to 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago. So this particular episode is all just talking about quarantine and comedy, and with the great Godfrey, the comedian Godfrey is great. I actually also did another episode with him, but the audio got messed up where we talk about the George Floyd and all that kind of stuff. But this episode is still really good. The discussion we get into is a really bright dude, and I wanted to still release that episode because I put out content every single week. But that being said, let me take some time in my intro to this episode to address some things that have been going on recently in the news. So, I mean, as you know, the whole big thing, the news cycle came out, and the big story came out about my friend Crystalia. And let me just say this: Crystalia is my friend. I've known him for many years. We're work colleagues. We see each other at the store. But we're friends. It's like if some life event happened, I would think that he would hit me up and be like, "Hey, Erik, boom, boom." So he's my friend. He got into some trouble. He's having some troubled times. Is it okay that I take some time to disseminate the information? Is it okay that I take some time to have some compassion for my friend? That what he's going through, and really taking a beat before I just go on my podcast and just talk about whatever I want to talk about. I don't appreciate this attitude that people have had that if you don't talk about it, you're somehow condoning bad behavior. No, that's not what it is at all. I don't let the social media universe dictate what I should talk about or when I should talk about it. It's like I don't need some sort of virtue signaling for me to be like, oh, that is an important thing. I mean, I felt this way when the George Floyd stuff happened, and then we started with the protests and the riots, and then Black Lives Matter. And so then you feel the pressure of man, I got to put something out, because it's like, if you don't put anything out, you're a racist. That's what people would say to, if you're white, I'm saying, if you're a white person, a white celebrity, and you're like, hey, if you're not using your platform to talk about, Black Lives Matter, that it means you're for the other side. In the same way I feel about this situation that happened with my friend Chris. Just because I didn't talk about it right away, just because I didn't publicly bash the dude or whatever some people have done, it doesn't mean I condone bad behavior. It's just that, hey, can I take a beat and think about everything and see all the information that's coming out before I just go boom? So, that's what I did, and that's why I'm here now. But the real discussion I have about it, because I didn't want to necessarily talk about that specifically by myself. I mean, I'm a solo podcast host. Some people do it, and that's fine. That's good for them, but not for me, because I felt like it was an important subject. So I actually went on Rick Glassman's podcast, I'm about to say Speak For Yourself. That's a whole other show. Take Your Shoes Off. I went to Rick's place, and it was a whole big thing because of his OCD, but it was great. I think we had a very interesting, thoughtful, nuanced discussion. So... And here's a little clip. From that right now.
I'm not scared to talk about it. I'm annoyed that my parents, for right or wrong, are telling me what to tweet.
Boom. Okay, we're on the same page with that. I don't mind talking about this subject. I know it's hot button. I know it's nuanced. I know it's a hard discussion. It's layered. I don't have a problem talking about it. But I do have a problem you telling me when, where, and how I should talk about it.
Which I do think, speaking for myself, there is something to look into. Why am I so triggered when people tell me what to do?
So there you have it. So if you really want to hear us go into depth about that, go there. But what I want to talk about here is that, listen, I don't condone any bad behavior. Chris's own statement that he put out, I wish it was I wish the statement was more, but I understand why it wasn't. When you're accused of a criminal act, if you're accused of a crime, you have to be careful about what you say. I mean, lawyers get involved. It becomes a legal matter, or people think it would become a legal matter. So you really have to be careful. And it's unfortunate that it's like that, but hey, that's the world we live in. So he put out a statement. What he said in his statement was he let the lifestyle get out of hand. Listen, people act like if you're friends with him that we somehow know everything about the guy. And no, I don't know everything about him. But what I do know of him is that he's a A-type personality male that got with a lot of women, in the times that I've known him for over 10 years, I don't know. I haven't been to one city doing comedy that a girl hasn't asked me, hey, do you know Chris D'Elia? I go to this health place and the girls there asked me like, hey, you're a comic. Do you know Chris D'Elia? So I know there are a lot of people that were very happy to know him, be a fan of his, and try to actually have relationships with him. So now, did he handle those relationships in the best possible way? Obviously not. Being a nice person is what this is all about. I don't think Chris was the nicest guy to women for the past however long it was. I think that he's older now. I think that I think he's going to learn from this. But hey, that's all I'm going to speak on about that. I'm not going to speak for him. But this basically boils down to just being nice to people. I have a great discussion, like I said, with Rick Glassman about my own behavior. I want to put it on me. And the thing that I want to talk about now in my little intro right now is just to say that, we're talking a lot about systematic racism. But I think we need to start talking about systematic misogyny, because I think it goes hand in hand. Big news that came out, and I'm a gamer now. I stream a lot on Twitch, which is Erik Griffin Gaming. I play video games, and now I'm hearing that, some women that work for certain game companies, they're putting out information that in the streaming world, there's more of that sort of like inappropriate behavior going on. And I go, damn. So it's not just in comedy. It's not just LA comedians. It's not just New York comedians or wherever. It's not, apparently it's men everywhere, in politics and entertainment and in gaming and just regular everyday life. So we obviously have some sort of problem that we should address it like that. It's systematic misogyny, and I can only speak for myself. I have not always acted in the best behavior, but I think that it's case by case. What I think is flirting, somebody else might think is, hey, that's inappropriate. I might flirt the same way with 10 different people, and like 3 times it works great. But it still could be inappropriate. So, I'm taking some account for myself, some accountability, and going, damn, you gotta look at this and go, assess your own behavior. And so I can look at now to myself and be like, have I treated every female that I've come across respectfully and nice? Probably not. Have I been inappropriate? Have I, made it sexual when and then use the excuse of like, well, I was just flirting, or, it's just guys being guys. Now I'm starting to look at it and being like, oh no, that's not a good excuse. It's actually like, depending on the circumstance, you should know as the person to be like, oh, I probably shouldn't have approached it that way. I mean, for instance, so now I think about like all the young, up and coming female comics. If you're a young female comic, you're attractive, and you're coming around a comic that you say you might admire, or you might be like, hey, I like what you do and I want to do what you do. And then that person, me, I'm just going to speak for me. If I turn that into something like, oh, hey, any flirty, that might be inappropriate. Hey, it might work 1 or 2 times. It might be like that person might also be interested. But I guess as a man now, you got to start to look and be like, hey, there's a time and place for everything. And the real question, the real thing to say for me, and even when I look back at the Chris situation, is just because you can doesn't mean you should. So that being said, I have to look back and be like, I wish I can go back and say to every single female that I've ever made uncomfortable, I'm sorry. I wish I could, and I don't want to say it like that on here, even though I sort of just said that, but I don't, because I don't want to sit here and act like every time you flirt with somebody, it's wrong. I think it's case by case. I think it's nuanced. I think it's a larger discussion. And I think the larger discussion is what I'm talking about is we should be nicer to each other. It's the same thing with race, with the race issue. We should just be nicer to each other. We should be respectful. And I think as men, with this systematic misogyny, I'm gonna call it, is that we're not nice enough, we're not respectful enough, we're not appreciative enough of our females in society. And I think we just have to do better. I mean, I'm uncomfortable even talking about this right now like this. But this is just the only way I can do it, is just for me to just be as vulnerable as possible, just to be like, well, damn, I'm sorry, like I didn't, because it's like as a man, I don't understand how it is. So I have to like figure out some analogies. I have to figure out like, how would it be for me in this situation, especially for like colleagues, like work people, that's the thing you have to really think about too. Like, like if you as a man are always turning it into something, sexual, or then it's like, damn, that makes the other person uncomfortable. And you don't even realize that you're doing that until you find out later. And they're like, well, yeah, I was uncomfortable. So, it is, like I say, a larger discussion about like teaching young men the importance of respecting females and raising them up. And understanding that it's not easy for them to be in a situation where they feel threatened or they feel uncomfortable or there's some weird power dynamic that they feel like, well, if I don't, respond this way, this person's going to maybe get mad at me or they're going to lose something from the situation. And so, I'm starting to flip my brain and starting to really think about it. And I'm hearing a lot of stories from, females on Instagram. You're looking at all these stories and you're seeing that, their experiences, and you're just going, damn, fuck, we got to do better, guys. So we really have to do better. We have to, like I said, treat people nice, respectful. And so, that being said, again, I have a great discussion with Rick Glassman on the Take Your Shoes Off podcast that's coming out probably, I think it came out today, the same day that this is coming out. So make sure you check that out. Listen, I don't know if I'm doing this subject justice, and I really didn't want to sit here and talk about, it's like, I don't want to be clickbait, like, Erik Griffin talks about Chris D'Elia, because that's not what this is about. I think that the situation with Chris, he's now a lightning rod for a larger discussion. And that larger discussion is misogyny and how we're treating women. And we just all have to do better. I can look at myself and be like, damn, I should do better. Even when it works out good. For instance, the way I flirted with my current girlfriend, we've been together for years now. We had like a breakup in the middle. But anyway, the point is, if I look back at how that interaction went, it just happened to work, because just the way the back and forth, the way the back and forth went. But if she wasn't interested, she could easily be like, oh man, he made me so uncomfortable, or look what he said to me. And now I'm looking back on it being like, I can't look back on it and be like, well, I was just flirting. I just, I thought, like, when you're doing something, you can, even if you don't know in the moment, you should be able to look back and be like, fuck, that was creepy, or damn, that was inappropriate. And so, I don't know, not everybody talks like this. I'm just looking back and say, I'm not speaking for anyone else. I'm not speaking for Chris. I'm not speaking for anyone, just for me. I can look back on my own behavior and be like, I probably shouldn't have said that. Just a little, look at me, guys. I ain't the most attractive motherfucker in the world. So when I got on TV and things started to happen, and people started to be interested in me in a way that they never have my whole life, I probably let it go to my head too. But imagine being an A-type personality, attractive, it's not an excuse by any means. Believe me, it's not an excuse. I'm just saying I understand. And you should be able to look back on it and be like, whoa, let's take a beat and really check our behavior and start doing better. I mean, a lot of those stories that I looked at about Chris, a lot of it is just not nice. You know what I mean? Like, I think he could have treated some of these women nicer. That's just me being honest. I love the guy. I do. And that's really all I want to say about that. And I just think there's a lot of hurt feelings. And if you have countless people who are like, well, I didn't like how you treated me, I think you got to look at yourself and be like, well, okay, I could do better, and I think that he will. I hope that he will. I have faith that he will. I think that he's going to learn from this experience and be like, all right, and he's got a whole new life now. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But to get back to it, I just think that we can't just talk about the race issue in our country. We can't talk about systematic racism without talking about systematic misogyny. I want to make that a thing. Maybe it's stupid. I don't know. But I think that it's parallel. I think there's a parallel feeling that I think that we should, just discuss as a country. I think we should discuss it within your family. I think you should just discuss it about just thinking about how our behavior affects other people, and then I think that once we do that, I think that we'll come out the other side better for it. So anyways, like I say, I have a great discussion with Rick Glassman on Take Your Shoes Off about it, and that's really all I want to talk about with this. I don't even know. I'm thinking, I'll look back on this and be like, did I even say anything? I think that I did. I hope you understand where I'm coming from. It's difficult because it's like, it's like when all the headlines are about like LA comedians are terrible men. And then, I'm a LA comedian. I'm a man. So I'm like, okay, let me look at that and be like, it's not all of us. I think, like I say, it's case by case. But I think that you could look back at all the cases enough times and be like, I probably shouldn't have said that. Probably shouldn't have done that. Probably shouldn't have sent that DM or whatever it is that you've done in the past, or how you're trying to interact with women, with fans, with colleagues. And as a man, I think we should be able to look back and be like, I got to do better. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just moving forward, because even if it doesn't have to even be about pursuing someone pursuing someone sexually, no, just even how you interact just in general, we have to treat women better. I mean, that's just really, he sounds stupid to say, right? Like, of course, like, duh, right? But, in the same way that, like, you shouldn't hate people for what the color of their skin is, right? Duh. But it still happens, Cops are still killing black people. Okay. Well, men are still treating women like shit. So let's do something about that. Let's make that the discussion instead of it just being some kind of witch hunt to, like, destroy a guy. Okay. Let's not just make it just about that. I mean, I think we should use this situation as a way to have a more broader and nuanced discussion, both together, about being better human beings. But that being said, now you can listen to this episode of Riffin with Griffin, with coronavirus talk and just general race relations talk, but not. And this was actually before the George Floyd situation blew up that I had with the great Godfrey. So I don't know if this intro was, I don't know. I'm really uncomfortable. I mean, you could probably tell. It makes me uncomfortable to talk about this because, it's a layered issue. It's like, I don't want to throw my friend under the bus. But at the same time, I'm not going to act like I condone bad behavior. That's not what it is. It's not that at all either. I'm disappointed when you see everything together. You just go, oh man, maybe you shouldn't have said that to this person. Maybe you shouldn't have done that. So that's why I made it about me. But, here we are. let's get better from this. You know, I think that should be the lesson. I think that let's start having more discussions. I think men should talk to other men, be like, yo, dude, have you ever done this? Like, have you ever been in a situation like this? Have you ever, like, and ask yourself and ask each other, like, hey, how could we do better? And I think that would be the first step. But listen to these stories, and so I commend all of the ladies out there that are coming out with their stories, and they're saying, this is how I felt. And I think it's important to say that stuff. I think it's important to be like, this made me feel this way, regardless if it was my intent or any man's intent to make you feel that way. I think it's important for you to be like, hey, but it made me feel this way. Because then if the guy can look back and be like, oh, you know what? I see that now. I see that it made you feel uncomfortable, or it made you feel whatever the feeling that you're feeling. So, but anyways, all right, whatever. There it is. I did my best, or I probably didn't do my best, but I just wanted it to be raw, unfiltered. Here it is, uncut. These are my feelings about some of the things that have been going on. But anyway, please enjoy this episode, and I'll see you next week on Riffin with Griffin. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Riffin with Griffin, longtime friend, Mr. Godfrey.
Hey, man. What up, boy?
How you doing? You doing good?
It either stands for example or it stands for Erik Griffin. What's going on, man?
I see you doing good. To your right, you in the bar area?
You got to show that to make it look like, if you have wine bottles, people are like, oh, he's doing all right.
Yeah. You know what? That's so funny. You so right, dude. No matter what's in, that could be apple juice in there. And people are like, damn, Godfrey balling right now.
And if I grab one of these bottles, right, and I hold it like this, you guys will know I'm doing well. Yeah, I got a couple things. I mean.
Man, so you're in New York right now, right?
I'm in New NY, baby. The center of disease control.
Yeah, dude. Like, how's it been going, man? And you know what I want to talk to you about even specifically, because I was on this show with All Things Comedy, and it was just called The Minority Report, and they were just, and you look at these figures and numbers where it's like, it seems like Black and Latino people are dying way more from coronavirus than anyone else.
Well, at first
is this the new sickle cell? Like, what's going on? You know what I mean?
At first, we were immune to it. Remember, we weren't. It was like it doesn't seem to affect the blacks.
Right.
And then I said, give us some time. We're going to be the leading dyers of this whole shit. Watch, because they love to change the narrative racially a lot of times in the news. Because a lot of times I don't know if you feel this way, it's always some kind of way our fault. No matter what the fuck happens, it's always our fault. Like something happens, like they were blaming Asians, right? Because it started in China, whatever. I think it started in China on some real fuck shit. I don't think it was someone eat bats, but it was on some, if you're into that heavier shit, I don't know what your kind of podcast is like.
No, it's to do it. It's called Riffin with Griffin. So if you're a conspiracy theorist or if you have a thing in your head about it, I'm all for listening.
It's not even a conspiracy. I just know the shit was created. Period. So it was created because my thing is Bill Gates had a TED Talk some years ago talking about depopulation, virus. He just kept talking about it. And I was like, yeah. And he funds a lot of him and his foundation and a lot of other motherfuckers, they put money into this shit, dude. And it's no different than Tuskegee experiment. Native Americans were purposely injected with shit to die off. I mean, this is no different. I mean, I'm just looking at basic knowledge. Like, really? There's a virus and then it's spreading? Oh, please, come on.
But it's kind of, I'm not necessarily as heavy on the side of you are. Let's say you're at a 10, maybe I'm at like a 7. But because the thing about it is weird is you just look at like, at first it was like, oh, it doesn't affect children.
Right.
And it kills older people and people with like something's wrong with them already. So they're already like, doing shit to the medical system. They're a burden. Like it's like getting rid of like the people that are burdened to the medical field. They got rid of them, and they were making sure kids are okay. So if what I'm saying is, if you're a conspiracy theorist, you could be like, huh,
right,
huh.
when and I think most decently smart people, when you start going like this, wait a minute, that's your brain going, yo, there's something wrong, bro. Like, hey, what? Wait, you just said old people. There's, you know what I mean? I think when you critically think about shit and don't just believe whatever the fuck, you know, you when it comes to our government telling us shit and their history of just, you know, the history, I'm not saying they've always been like that, but there's a lot of history of a lot of fuckery that they've done. And it's like, there's a lot of fuckery, man. It's like, oh, here we go again with this bullshit, you know? And I don't watch the news on purpose. I'm not even fucking with the news because their thing is about sensationalizing things. And I know people who work for CNN. I know people who work on the news, and they'll tell me this shit. Like, they are going to pick the stories they want. They're going to pick the shit. It's all about controlling the narrative and controlling the reactions and emotions of people. And this virus is real. It's real as fuck.
Yeah.
But as far as it just popping out of nowhere, I mean, we have viruses, we have flus, we have that shit. That's the fact. We have bacteria in our bodies that are in our bodies. But as far as like when some people are talking about, you know, you heard of eugenics, getting rid of people. Like, I read some whole thing, and it's all coming out on social media. They got one where, you know, the lady from Planned Parenthood, the lady who created Planned Parenthood, she was a eugenics freak about depopulating people, and then Bill Gates and his dad was on the board of the Planned Parenthood. It's all there, and the guy who created IBM was part of eugenics. And then Bill Gates was on the board of IBM. So they're all into this whole shit and funding all this bullshit, dude. It's like, what are you? And Bill Gates is just trying to push this vaccine. You're not a fucking doctor, bro. You dropped out of college and became, you know, became a computer genius. But you got so much money that you can actually fund horrible shit like this, you know what I mean? That's how I feel. It's just like
I totally understand. You know, it's like you know, I get it. I mean, I just watched this they had the new. First of all, I take every documentary with a grain of salt now, because you want to talk about pushing a narrative. That's what a documentary is. A documentary is like they pick a subject, they pick a point, and the whole documentary is trying to prove that point. As opposed to like here's some information I want to get out there. So, but anyway, they just had this new one about, you know, the coronavirus. But one of the things I found interesting in it was like they were talking about H1N1, and they're saying like the chicken flu don't affect humans, the human flu don't affect chickens. But when they get near a pig, the pig makes it so. And I think to myself, we're the problems regardless. Because only we bring chickens and pigs together. Like, when would chickens and pigs ever be fucking with each other? You know what I mean? when, you know what I mean?
Charlotte's Web.
I mean, but even that. So I feel like, you know, we think about farms, and we think about farms as like some, you know, middle of America, like farms are where it's at, and this is how, you know. And then you go, well, maybe that's not a good thing. Maybe we're not supposed to be bringing animals that are like don't normally fuck with each other together.
Right, but that's man fucking with nature, man.
Yeah.
Look at the fact that we're all inside. The earth is cleaned up. I heard there's like an ozone, some part of the earth where there was like an opening in the ozone. That shit's closed up. It's like,
I mean, dude, I feel like I know exactly what you're saying. Not to cut you off, but just to step on with that, I just want to say I feel like what we've proven is like every year, for 1 week, maybe 2 weeks, the whole world should shut down. We just go.
We should have an Earth break.
An Earth Day, like it's like an Earth week. Yeah, like where it's like we shut down.
Just shut down, Earth break. We having an Earth break, a fucking siesta from evil. Good Lord, you know.
Man.
And then the other day, not too long ago, they had Earth Day. You know that George Carlin bit about Earth Day. Earth Day. Earth Day. You think some plastic bags are gonna cure the earth? Give me a fucking break. You know what I mean? These environmentalists are pieces of shit. Fuck you. The earth has been around for billions of years. He said the earth is going nowhere. We are. So back to shit. You know what I'm saying? They had Earth Day.
Well, I have my girlfriend's cousin works at a recycling. He makes recycling equipment. Like these big machines. They're $1 million machines, right? Yeah. But then you start talking to people in the recycling business and you find out that it's all bullshit. Like, you know, like the whole thing's bullshit. Like wherever you think that blue bin, like when you put shit in that blue bin and you think that shit is going to someplace that's helping the world, you are a fucking idiot. You know what I mean? But it's like, you know what it is? It's a dog and pony show. You know what it's like? It's like when you go to the airport and like TSA is a dog and pony show. Okay. Yeah. So that's just to make us feel like, hey, take your shoes off. Like, you know, like what? Like, you know what I mean? Like how many terrorists are you catching at the airport in a year that you treating me, the paying customer, like this? Like how many are you really catching? So it's a dog and pony show to make people like, okay, we're safe. And that's what that is. When those fucking these environmental nutbags are like, when they're like, put your things in the blue bin, and that's for them to go like, I'm doing my part. But you don't know where it goes from there. You're not checking up.
No, that's what's so great about, I guess, being the powers that be. We don't know what they're doing a majority of the time. That's the part where they go, you see stuff on the news. Let's think about like as actors, as comedians.
Yeah. And
let's say, you know, you shot a special. You shot an hour and 50 minute special. They saw 45 minutes.
Yeah.
They edit a lot of shit. Editing is a motherfucker. And that's what they do.
That's true.
When they like here's an example. When they show Donald Trump coming from a big travel, he went to Sweden for a thing. And they'll show all day that Donald Trump was in Sweden for a big important meeting. And they'll show that same footage of him coming off the airplane. It's the same footage. It's the same all day. Donald Trump has been off to about 80 other different activities during all this time. He's probably been doing a whole bunch of other shit while they keep showing us Donald Trump just coming to Sweden. Coming off they show it over and over. And they don't, can we follow Donald Trump on what that motherfucker was doing in Sweden? No. You just know he was in Sweden. And then and
then we fill our brain fills in like, well, he's the president. He must be doing something important.
That's the part that they like. That they go, well, you guys know the rest. It's like when in a movie, they don't really have to show. They don't have to show nudity in a movie. You close the door, we know you guys was fucking.
Dude, we think alike because you know what I was thinking in my head. Remember the movie Seven? Remember Seven?
Yes, that was the shit.
Wait, check it out. They never showed the actual killing. They only showed the result, and your mind filled in how horrible it must have been.
That's how such a great movie it was. You're already fucked up. Like they didn't have to go get gory with it. They were just like, it was a psychological thriller.
Yeah. So I think it's like, you know, and speaking of the news, like you were talking about, you know, what's weird to me is like, so the news can be the news, they control the narrative, and then it's also politicized. So then depending on where you watch, like I've said this before, like I like to watch both. So I'll turn on Fox because I want to see where they're at. So you turn on Fox and they have all these people telling you that this quarantine is going to be worse than the actual coronavirus and all the effects of quarantine on poverty and psychological effects, and people are going to be depressed and all this stuff, right? Then you turn on CNN and they act like we're all going to die, you know? So it's like, I don't know. I'm like, yo, can we get together? Like, if this is so important. So to me, let me tell you one thing I've learned about the coronavirus. It's not important enough to bring people together yet.
No.
You know, it's not like Ebola. If half the White House staff died today, like it's just like whatever disease came in and we would be acting a lot different. You know what I mean? It would be a summit. All the news people would be like getting the right information out. But the coronavirus, though, it don't feel dangerous enough to make people actually come together and make sure that we're doing right. That's just my comedian opinion. You know what I mean? My humble opinion.
Humble because we're comedians, but we live in this planet and we're affected too. You know, when we see the world through comedic eyes, but we still have to humanize this shit. Like, oh fuck, you know what I mean? And our language is comedy, so we're gonna speak in that language. There's some songwriters right now writing songs about the shit. There's somebody painting about the shit. So you know, we're gonna come at our perspective, regardless of how people fucking think. We're gonna say what we say in our comedic way, you know. But there's some comedians that dig into this kind of shit, really dig into this, and some that just take it for service value and go, I don't watch the news, Fox, CNN, all of them, they're all full of shit. And I believe it's a back and forth thing. There's some truth and there's some false shit. But sensationalization, really pumping up the fear. Fear is what keeps people under control. Fear, the fear of anything. How do you think pastors make money? Church, religion, they go, hey, watch out. You better put money in that thing or you're not going to reap what you sow. Lord have mercy. You need 10% tithing. People put in money of fear that they're not going to get a blessing. You know?
Yeah. Right, you're right. Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Think about the world of health and the workout shit. They $1 billion industry because fear of dying, fear of not being in shape, fear of not having good health. Come on, get this video. It's the fear. Fear sells, man. What about the makeup industry? Insecurity. It's based off insecurity. You better get these lashes or you won't look good. It's a fear thing. It's fear makes money, man. You know what I mean? Fear is a very wonderful tool. Psychological fear. You better get this or this is not going to happen. Better not. Oh, you know, that's all they do. And it's different levels of fear. Not like everyone's like, but whether it's medical, they can do that. Then you know how they would do as growing up. They would always change what causes cancer. It was like, if you drink milk, it can cause blah, blah, blah. Next
in our era, especially when we came up, it was like, it was always my mom was always, they say, you know, you got to eat broccoli. You know, if you don't
say that a new finding shows, experts say, and then they'll go like this. Scientists at Harvard University came up with that Frosted Flakes actually gives you better respiratory abilities. And you're like, who gets the Frosted Flakes? You know, it's like and I think they sit around. I think news writers are literally like comedians. Like, what should I talk about today?
Yeah, they must be. Well, I mean, but isn't that a?
And then the people in the newsroom are like, "Oh, that's a good one. Say that.
It's like the SNL writers' room. Yeah.
Right. There's a writers' room. They're like comics, man.
But unfortunately, but then, you know, when you have a 24-hour news cycle and you have to fill it up, and then like there's a fine line between news and entertainment. It seems like, you know, it's like you have news, information, and entertainment, and it seems like they found a way to like combine all those things, you know?
See, what they do is, and the order at which they put them is very smart. They go, this just in. Oh, shit. That got us in. We got it. What happened? A man was raw. Right? Then it's like, and now weather. It's going to be sports and entertainment. It's like they emotionally, it's just chronologically set up so perfectly to fuck. It's a mind fuck, bro. It's like, wow, I'm glad we can end with good news. A puppy drive. They just saved a couple puppies. Come and buy some puppies. After the first one was a man got stabbed in the fucking eye.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, that is what it's done on purpose. It's like, but then I always knew the news at some point was bullshit too sometimes, because there are real journalists out there. I'm not going to sit there and say all the news. There are real journalists, but the news, when you watch a news show and commercials come on, man.
Yeah, I know. That's how I feel.
once the Cheerios bee is on, I just watched The Killing and it's Cheerios. Whoa. Yeah. It's ad dollars. Think about the people that the reason why this shit's on is because the ad dollars. So you think about it, if it's daytime and you're watching the news, you're going to see a lot of diaper commercials. You're going to see a lot of household products because a lot of housewives are probably home, right? Then when night comes, you go, the new Cadillac 2020. Because supposedly the people who drive cars are home now. They come back from work. Oh, I should get a new car. It's all set up. It's a genius idea. And it's the ad dollars are ones that provide you with the news. They'll be like CNN, provided by Prudential or this, that. They're like, and if I have money right? I got money and I'm putting your shit on. I'm gonna be like, hey, I need my product sold, yo. So when are you throwing us in? When are you throwing us in? Okay, cool. After the what? After the dude gets stabbed in the neck? Okay. After the puppy back, right before the puppy drive. Thanks.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Like, so much like what you're talking about right now is how I feel like the left news, like CNN, MSNBC, they for some reason they get off on showing us whoever the youngest person that died of coronavirus. It's like it's their job to be like, oh my God, a 14-year-old died of coronavirus, and then why? Like just per capita, just like if you just go like just the almost 400 million people in the United States, and you look at the numbers of people that have died, you go like, okay, I don't want anybody to die, obviously, but like to this kind of fear mongering of like this guy died, so that means we all can die. It's like, how about show me for every one person that has died that we don't think can die of coronavirus, how about you show me 1,000 people that are walking out of the hospital that did have it?
Why would they do that?
They're not going to show that, because I would love that to be like, here's John Smith from Brooklyn had corona and now he's okay, and then why don't they have he's just waving. I had an immune boost and I'm good now. Like they never show those people. It's always the worst possible story,
because they're like, okay, what are the ratings? Okay, how are we gonna keep these motherfuckers turning on channel? Keep them shitting their pants. What are they saying now? It's, you know what I mean? It's like
we don't want to be cynical, right? It's hard not to be cynical, because I would like to think the sentiment is, hey, we should really keep the quarantine going, because look at these people that have died. They're just like you. It's like, hey, be careful. But they present it in a way that I don't think that's what it is. You want to, you know what I mean? You think that's what it is, and I'm sure there are some people like that. I'm sure there's, like you said, there's great news people. There's people that have integrity, and they're trying to get a good story out, because it's supposed to be the fourth branch of government. Information is supposed to be the fourth branch of government, getting it to the people. But it's just completely controlled. You start to blow your mind when you start to go, there's a board of people who are really, really rich that control the news, and you just go, well, how is that? How is how is it a thing? Shouldn't it be public? Know what I mean? I don't know. Shit's crazy.
Yeah, it's and the people that control everything do not look like us. That's a fact. It's like, it's not even hard to figure that out. Oh, I wonder who's running this. I would love to blame it on people that look like us, but just the way the system is, they wouldn't even dare give us that kind of power.
Yeah, at the same time though, when's the last time you turned on BET News?
Oh, I remember BET News, because Jackie Reed was BET News, and I know her now. She used to be BET News. There used to be a BET News.
I know. There used to be like a black, but like, where's the black news? And do we want to watch it? But like, don't you feel like we like, just being honest, we'll still have contempt? You know what I mean? Like, we're just the BET News, like, what they talking about on BET News? But it's the same reason why minorities don't look for their award shows in the same light as they look for the white award shows. It's like the Image Awards should be just as prestigious as the Emmys, Oscars, and Golden Globes, but we don't. You know what I mean? Like Jay-Z showing up late for the Source Awards. You know what I mean?
The only problem is that it's the NAACP Awards. The NAACP, if it was just the Image Awards, but NAACP, you might as well have the SNCC Oscars, the core, what I mean? But it's like community college, It's a college.
I know, and I feel like all the envelopes
in front of it, and it's like the end up. And I'm not putting down that Image Award, but it's like there's this thing like the Image Awards, NAACP Image Awards sounds like, oh yeah, let's give them an award thing, NAACP, right?
How do we change that? How do we flip that? You
flip it to we should get our own award show. We should have our own award show named after somebody really famous. We should have our own shit. But
check it out. Check it out. The Country Music Awards is really big. Like the Country Music Award, it's huge. It's a prestigious thing, but it's not all. But it's not it's predominantly white,
Of
but
course.
it's not, you know, it doesn't, it, actually, all the things that we call white, they're not labeled white. It's just
No.
like, it's because of all the other things that, like,
They're the
you,
default.
yeah,
They're
it's
the
a default. Yeah.
They're the default. Like here's a really good book I would like y'all to try and read. It is fantastic, y'all. It's backwards. White Fragility.
It won't be back. It's not backwards. Just for you, it is.
White Fragility, and it's by Robin DeBono, a white woman. It is, when I tell you it's up to date, it's a new fan. It is
Really?
My friend gave me this shit. It talks about all of that. White Fragility, about, she's so honest, and she even says, like, I don't have to worry about, like, right here. See, like, I was born into a culture in which I belonged racially. Indeed, the forces of racism were shaping me even before I took my first breath. If I were born in a hospital, regardless of the decade I was born in, any hospital would be open to me because my parents were white. If my parents attended a childbirth preparation class, the instructor was most likely white. The videos they watched in class most likely depicted white people, and their fellow classmates with whom they built connections and community were also most likely white. When my parents read their birthing manuals and other written materials, the pictures most likely depicted primarily white mothers and fathers, doctors and nurses. If they took a parenting class, the theories and models of child development were based on white racial identity. The doctors and nurses that attended my birth were all in all likelihood white. Although my parents may have been anxious about the birth process, they didn't have to worry about how they would be treated by the hospital staff because of their race. Like, she's so dumb. This is so, when I tell you this shit is fire. And it's so great when a white person is honest that way. And it's sometimes a better perspective because you're so used to reading books of, you know, from Toni Morrison to James Baldwin. You're so used to reading.
And then you know their perspective too. You know, when it's a black, you know, political radical, you know that this is their perspective, and you're reading it like that. You know, even if you're a non-white, if you're a white person, you're reading that and you're going like, oh, and you're trying to like commiserate. You're trying to like have empathy, as opposed to somebody white just being like, hey, this is my reality. Yeah,
that's the reality, and it's so good, and it's like they're the default. It's like when I saw the history of comedy on CNN, I was like, what the fuck is this? I didn't like it because history of comedy, everybody was white. I was like, the fuck are you serious right now? I was like, first of all, the masters and the legends of comedy, I'm not taking nothing from the Don Rickles, the Milton Berles, none of it. But the motherfuckers that people repeat out their mouths are black. Like from Eddie, from Bill Cosby, from Red Fox, you know what I'm saying? Richard Pryor. Like I'm in order. I mean, we got Carlin, who's the Eminem of it. You know what I'm saying? He's Eminem, man. He's Eminem. And it's like, why are you not including us? But the default for comedy is white, and that's not the truth. It's not the truth, because not to be, and you being a comedian of color, let's be real. Them stages are rocked by us. We're the ones rocking them bitches. And I'm not taking anything from white people and white. There are a lot of funny people on every race, but come on now. There's reasons why they put us in the end of the fucking lineup. They will, and there's reasons why a lot of white comics will go, oh, can I go before you? Can I go, and we are never complaining because we're used to being put in the end. It's like comedy is like a fucking bus. We're always putting the back, sit in the back. We don't get off for it, you know what I mean? But I'm not, it's the reality of it, and me and you have been fortunate to be able to we can do mainstream and we get chosen for a lot of mainstream shit and all that. Yeah, but man, you still see the disparity. You still see that the fuckery that goes on. Like, really, guys? Like, it's that's why it was so hard. It was like I had a problem during the Me Too movement. Yes. Being lumped in just because I'm a guy, like being a man, where it's like, you look at the lineup because it was a lot of this going on, tweeting at the lineups that you're on, right? Let's say the Comedy Store they put up the lineup. Somebody's tweeting at it.
oh, nice, all men again, or no women on the lineup, you know. And I'm like, hey, take another look. It's still mostly white. Like, don't, like, you know, like, you still want to take away from, like, all the struggles that people have done. Like, because where does it end? Like, where's the, like, you know, because then, you know, you know, Brad Williams is the only dwarf. He could be out there, like, you know, where are the dwarfs on the lineup? You know, whoever's Asian and whoever's, like, you know, and it goes on and on. But I just kind of feel like, you know, unfortunately, comedy, it's just, you would like to, I wish comedy was just a level playing field.
Man.
You know? And it's just, you know, but it's not. But at the same time, though, I don't want to, like, come across like a victim. It's not a victim society. You know? No, I'm not saying that about you either. But no, but this is what I'm saying, though, is like, because this is something I've learned about comedy in the last 5 years, you know, that, like, I come from an old school era where I thought just being funny was enough, you know?
That's what I thought.
You know, we just, you know, we come up with this thing, we saw these, but you know what it is because there was no social media back then. So we didn't know the hustle that was going on behind the scenes for those comics that we look up to, all the things that they had to do to get where they went. But it's more to it. It's about fashion too. It's about, you know, style. It's about, you know, connecting with your fans and personality and like, and when you come to find out is when you start to check off the important on the list, funny ain't even at the top of the list. It's not at the top of the list. Funny is not selling out theaters. It's not. It's, you know, it's that charisma. It's that, like, you know, it's all these other things, and it's like I just wish I would have realized those things. I wish I would have thought about it more like that coming up. You know,
I think in hindsight, in general, because
I know.
The world doesn't work that way. You live in the present. It's like somebody. It's like you're a coach, and you see a bunch of players, and there's one that sucks, and they don't make the team because they weren't able to accomplish the things that you needed to see, and then they end up being great later on. How the fuck were you supposed to know? You were living in the present. They sucked, and they don't play. And that's the thing about sports. It's so fair. It's like if you suck right now, you can't play.
Meritocracy, man. Meritocracy. I love it.
Right. I love meritocracy. And the thing about us is we grew up watching funny motherfuckers on TV. We're like, oh, we get why they're famous. They're fucking funny. Like, we'd be like, yeah, Carol Burnett and her crew. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Flip Wilson. Yeah. Oh, Red Fox, Sanford and Son. Yeah. They were funny. They were funny. Like, let's be real. All in the Family. Yeah, they won Emmys. They were great. Like,
I agreed.
We were used to that. We were used to that. Like when we watched our favorite, you know, Denzel Washington. Yeah, he's fucking great. De Niro, fantastic.
Right.
You know, and there's still discrepancy there, but this is the only business, I think, entertainment, where you can literally reward mediocrity. You can just give it to them. You can go, you're horrible, but guess what we're going to do for you? Because sometimes, and I don't know everybody, this is just basic, you know, this being in the biz. Sometimes some people that run certain things have a position and they'll see a person that reminds them of them. They'll bring their personal shit to the job. Like, that person reminds me of me when I was bullied. I'm going to give him the job. And the person that has talent reminds me of a guy that used to beat up on me. Really? You're bringing that to the fucking state? Who's doing the job? Who's doing the good job here? And like you said, there is a marketing aspect to it. Some people aren't, even if they're talented, they're just, there's a marketing thing to it. There's a style, there's a look, of course. But we all realize that because later on, because my managers were like, get on stage, be as good as you can, fucking kill that shit. And as a comedian, and you know, this was like the first time that comedy got a little bit compromised. But it didn't really do much. Like people that were doing sketches on Instagram that are in the millions and followers, they're doing theaters now. You know, this is the first time we were able to put the cart before the horse as far as comedy-wise. You see these motherfuckers going on stage, calling themselves comedians, and they are far from it. And they go on stage, and you go to a improv, and somebody, you go, oh, did you see Sock Puppet Pete was here? Who's Sock Puppet Pete? I like to call it Sock Puppet Pete. That's my Instagram.
Or just put country in the name. It just sock puppet country Pete, just something like that. You know what I mean? Just, you know. It's just, yeah, man.
I know where that's coming from, and I don't.
I mean, don't even get me started. But
So,
let me.
wait, I'm sorry. But it's
Go
like
on.
you hear that, you go, yeah, he sold out, blah, blah, blah. And then I go, how was he? Or how was she? Oh, it was garbage. But that's what the beautiful thing about comedy is it was just a small dent with social media, just a small dent. Because this craft, you can't skip. You can't skip.
But
you have to put the hours in.
Okay, here's the thing though.
You can skip as far as getting money real quick.
Okay, I was about to say because I agree and I disagree. But you know what though? I don't know if I agree, because what we're finding out is your agent, they're not called comedy agents. They're not called stand-up agents. What are they called?
Agents.
No, they're called public appearance agents.
Right. PA.
That's your PA. They're called PA agents.
Right.
They're not called comedy agents. They're not called, great stand-up, organizers.
Right.
They're not. It's like a used car salesman. You know what you're getting. You're getting a used car. Okay. All right. So PA agent, it's called public appearance, and what I've come to accept is that's what that is. Listen, man. There's dudes out there with millions of followers on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and they're just doing a public appearance for their fans.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they're doing it in comedy clubs. And they're doing it but it's because comedy clubs are set up to hold a lot of people. So that's all that this is. And so I stopped worrying about it in that way. I stopped going well, that guy's not funny. Why is that guy? No, they don't. It doesn't matter. They need somebody to fill up this building and sell drinks, and his fans want to come. And check it out. These people know this person isn't funny because they're not coming for that. They're coming because, it's the dude that's on my screen that does the accent with the wig on, or it's the dude. It's Sock Puppet Pete is here, and they out in they in the lobby buying the puppet, and they can we take a picture? Can we, you know what I mean? And they put their hands in the puppet, and they standing next to Sock Puppet Pete, and they doing I call my guy Sock Puppet Johnny, and then they you know what I mean? That's what it is, dude. So so the problem is here's the problem. It'd be like if there was another sport that looked like basketball, it looked like it, and they needed a place to play, and then the NBA arenas was come play here. And then some of the NBA teams are we had to cancel our Thursday game because, Sock Puppet.
that would be the WNBA.
They trying to jam that down our throats, right?
It's a joke. I'm totally, they're joke as fuck. I like it. So.
You know some people that, listen, I'm not even ashamed of it. I like a lot of women's sports, all right? I like women's volleyball. I think it's compelling.
I like women's and softball because they fine and
I think that's a whole other reason. But I like it's really compelling. I think women's volleyball should be a pro sport nationally.
It's dope.
Because it's dope. It's a slam dunk every play. It's a touchdown every play. It's really exciting, and I love that. And also, it's comparable to the men's sport. And what I mean by that is the speed of it. The speed. Right. And agility and athleticism.
Yeah.
I don't like women's basketball. The shit looks slow. It looks, you know what I mean? It looks slow, and it's and then I don't like the outfits. It don't do nothing for them. That's the dumb man part. But I'm just saying, and then they get sweaty, and how it's. I don't know.
No dunks.
There's no dunks. There's no.
Really
what I'm saying.
Long throws to the
here's what I'm saying. The highest level of the sport is men. Okay, it just is because it's just you get LeBron James. These super athletic, they're physical. Yeah. Physical freaks of nature, and then they're going up down the court fast. They're jumping high. So I want to see something close to that. So that's why women's soccer is great, because it still looks like soccer. You know what I mean? Women's hockey is great. It still looks like hockey. Tennis, even first of all,
Women's tennis is the shit.
I think women's tennis is better than men's tennis because the lack of athleticism makes it more competitive. Because sometimes men's tennis is like serve. You know what I mean? It's like these powerful serves, and they don't even get to. But women's tennis would be like cuckoo, cacao. You know what I mean? Like you know. So anyway, we got off subject, but I'm just saying, like, I have no problems bashing women's basketball, and those women basketball players. I'm not going to play you one-on-one. You're going to be better than me. I'm talking as a fan, all right? As a fan of basketball, that shit is not entertaining. Straight up. I'm just being 100.
After the fact that they used the two-toned ball, it looks so clownish. I'm like, that's not fair. Give them an orange ball.
I just lower the rims. Make them shits 8 foot. I want to see chicks like dunking on each other and shit.
Dunking. They need to make the rim lower. I want to see chicks poking like, ugh.
I'm just saying, dude. I'm not against female sports. I'm talking about how it looks in comparison to, like, you know, I don't know. It's just like, you know, it's crazy. But anyways,
yeah. But you're saying that, like, you know, because what you were saying, I totally agree with, because I remember when I was, my friend Jeff, he showed me, he runs the Dallas Improv in Addison, and we went backstage, and he was just breaking down the business to me, just breaking it down, because he was talking about other comedians complaining, how come I'm not here? How come you don't book me? And he just showed me figures, and he said, let me show you overhead real quick. Let me show you the overhead of a comedy club real quick.
Yeah.
I mean, he broke it down to me. I never, ever, ever complained. I was like, I fucking get it. But I kind of figured that out.
Yeah.
But he said, you got to understand, comedy is the last thing. We are a bar and grill. We are trying to sell all this shit we paid for, all that food we paid for, all that liquor. We're trying to get rid of this shit. We need to make our money back from that. Now we're talking about that. Now you're talking about maintenance of the kitchen. Now you're talking about maintenance of lights, maintenance of the spot. Now we're talking about employees that we got to pay. There's that. Then and when he broke all that shit down, and he goes, now we bring the comedian in. Now
that's why Country Pete is going to be here next week, because he already sold out 8 shows.
Now we have all this overhead, and we go, okay, let's look at our comic list. Who are the big names that are going to help us cut down this cost? Okay, bam. We can charge them this. We're going to make that. So now we've made up all our money for this, that. Who's right under that? We got tiers. We got levels of tiers.
Yeah.
And now we've paid all this money. We got all this money we've made. Now we can put in people we don't really know, people that we can build on them, because we can afford the loss.
Or people we like, but they just don't sell out.
They just don't sell out. And there's some people that we just like the motherfucker. And then we're going to squeeze them in because we just like being around that person. And you know what? They might be able to build, but we'll take a chance on them. And then what people don't understand is that's why a lot of comics are afraid to headline, because they don't want to see a half-empty room.
It's tough.
You know, they're killing it in LA. They're killing it in New York. But when they go to Idaho or Iowa, and they got to make an excuse and say, yo, man, tickets are low because there's a parade down the street. We have a big annual don't go to the comedy club parade. So that's probably what destroyed your whole shit. But things Saturday will probably be way better, because it's going to snow and there's an earthquake tomorrow. So more than likely people are going to want, you know, but there's levels to headlining. And I understand when these Instagram people come in with 4 million, 5 million followers and they pack rooms. I go, they're going to take them first because they're paying the light bill. They're paying that bill. But here's where guys like me and you we're headlining, and other people, this is where we win, because the notoriety that they're getting from being on their sketches, which I don't knock their hustle. I think they're great at the shit. But the time that you have to put in the stand-up never changes.
Yeah, it's true.
You have to be on that motherfucking stage all the time.
Well, here's what's happening.
Is the purest art form, and it's going to catch up to them, and people are going to peep it, and the dumb numbers, I think, are going to.
But here's what's going to happen. All right, this is what I think is already happening. You know.
Okay.
So Remember when all those actors who were just actors, their agents were like, you can make like 10 grand a weekend if you start doing stand up.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you know what they're doing now?
Yeah.
Podcasts. They're doing podcasts.
Yeah.
They found a way to, like, those people that are doing sketches, they found a way to monetize that. So they're like, I don't want to go to Idaho. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, where you want me to go? How long I got to be there? They're starting to go, why? I just made $100,000 on YouTube, and my merch business is going well. So what's happening is, it's not just that the stand-up comedy game is catching up to them. What's catching up to them is like, because they're like, I don't want to put this work in because I don't need to now.
But that's a catch-up. That's what I'm saying. They're like, oh, you got. That's what I mean. What you're explaining it in a different way. That's what I mean. That they'll be like, hey, you got to go on the road. Whoa, what? No, I don't want to do that shit. And so they're switching the game up. Maybe podcasting, maybe.
I know, but even podcasting, I mean, they're even with podcasting, man. There's people
still in podcasting, bro. You still
you have to. I know. But what also is still happening too is, like, there are people with big podcasts who are, have a huge following now. Then they go out with their huge following and they're filling out places too.
From Instagram, because Joe Rogan, Mark Maron, the Bill Burr, they're all comic. They're all folks. The people with the biggest podcasts are experienced folks, whether they're writers, journalists, whatever. They put their time in through experience, not through a phone, not through that. You tell me what fucking.
No, I'm telling you, you'd be surprised. What I'm saying is, we don't.
Doing an amazing podcast.
What I'm saying is that you'd be surprised. Like, it's like those kids from I don't even think they're kids anymore, but the guys from Wildin' Out, they have that 85 South.
They're actually some of them are actual comic, like Carlos Miller.
No, I know, but I'm saying is, like, here's an example of people who, like, we're going to start doing comedy. They were doing comedy. That's their dream. Then they took the notoriety from one thing, combined it with this new medium, and now they out here doing theaters and stuff. Oh, yeah, so it works. So I'm saying is, like, there's still an accelerated process now. It's different. See, the difference now is, like, we come from an era of, like, you do open mics and you do all this stuff, and, like, and then you get past at the big club, and it's like, fuck all that. Like, that shit's got the door. It's like, there's other ways now. Like, the open mic now is your podcast and then talking every week and you're writing jokes, and maybe you're doing real shows now to, like, prepare for bigger things. It's just a different road is all I'm saying.
It's a different world, but you still got to face the beast, man. And a lot of people, and I know guys that have done shows with these Instagram people that are selling out shows, and they go, woo, yo, and then they'll put, like, comedians on that are experienced, and they get a hot 50 minutes of two comics come in front of them and give them two fucking hot 25 minutes, and they gotta follow that shit. And they said a lot of them, it is bad.
Yeah, but that's why they don't. That's why they just have their own shows now. They just go. They just gonna bring the. You know what I mean?
I'm just saying the art of comedy itself is still never changing.
No, I agree. I think
go ahead.
I think that I agree with you. The art of comedy is not going to change. What's happened is the business has passed it. Right. The business is passed by it. The business doesn't care about it. The business doesn't nurture it. The business is it's a business, and that's the thing that I'm catching up with. It's like I started this podcast because just from my experiences of being on other people's podcasts and seeing it affect the numbers. And I was like, oh shit. And then it's like you're one away from your fans. I love talking to my fans now. I love, like, being, like, interacting with people. Like it's like. And then also I think it makes the comedy community, like, commune more. It's like, when's the last time we've been on the phone for an hour? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like we don't, so this is what I'm saying. So it's like, I just say it's a different form of business, and we're trying to get there. You know what I mean?
Everything you're saying is correct. Correct. I'm just talking from comedy as an art form, period.
I get it. It's a purist thing.
If someone labels themselves a comedian, which I think a lot of them they make a mistake. They should say, hey, I'm a public appearance guy. I'm just a public figure. Boom. I get it. But when you label yourself a comedian, and then you go up there, They're gonna be like the art form has to kick in. They're gonna go.
Yeah, but check this out though. But check this out. That's like a mistake that like it's just a bad branding for the people who are purists of comedy. Because like how many times have like, you know, a person's been on a reality show and then now they doing public appearances. That's how they call it. They say like, oh man, I was on such and such show. Yeah, now I'm getting 30,000 to show up at a club now.
Right.
I'm to go be a DJ now, and like it's just public appearance stuff. The problem is that we're calling it stand up comedy because it looks like it because somebody's standing on a stage with a mic, and maybe they're being funny. But even at a lecture, somebody could be funny. You know, it's like it's still
at a lecture. Somebody can be funny. Because it's not expected. Comedians, people come in there like this. No one goes to a lecture going, man, this motherfucker been having me rolling, yo. No.
I know.
I know he was talking about Corona, but nigga, I need some laughs in the middle of that shit.
Yeah.
They're like, who's speaking? Dr. Fauci's coming, but man, that motherfucker better be funny, dog.
Yeah. They go, who opening?
Yeah, who opened? Michael Eric Dyson, man, he was tight. But when at a comedy club, people are like, man, this shit better be funny, yo. The expectation is there because that's your job.
I almost feel that. But I almost feel that the problem with comedians, and speaking as a comedian, is we've been programmed to be pigeonholed into a certain way of doing things. And it's almost like I think to myself, I said to my agent, like before all this started, I said, hey, maybe see if I can start doing some lectures. Like, see if I could go to like colleges and like, it's not about comedy. It's about like how to be an actor, how to audition. How is it to be in the business? And I'll make it entertaining because I'm funny. So I'll be able to boom. But like people have me come because of that. It's like I think that the comedians need to, and the ones that are doing it are like these ones that are like, podcasting and really getting themselves out there, like selling out. Like, my agent said a month ago, like, this is the hottest comedy's been in a long time in terms of selling tickets.
Since the 80s and 90s.
Like, just hot. There's people out there who are like superstars now that are not on television. You know what I mean? They're doing a show here and there, but they're not famous for that. They're famous for them. Look at Bert Kreischer, Chris D'Elia. There's these guys right now who are like just like larger than life because of their personalities. And then they back it up with like, okay, here's what I've been working on. Here's my stand-up. And I just think it's amazing times that I think we all need to catch up to. And I think that we're behind in some ways sometimes in our thinking.
I totally caught on to the wave about 3 years ago. I got with King Batch, with Rennie, Deast, all those guys that hustle, and I give them credit. They're Vine stars. I got with them. I do stuff with them still. I see
that. I love Batch. He's a funny dude.
I got off my ass. I said, shit, I'm getting with these motherfuckers because I got the skill and I have the energy and so once I started doing that, I got my demographic changed.
Yeah.
I started doing podcasting. I got my own podcast and
What's the name of your podcast, by the way?
In Godfrey We Trust on Gas Digital Network.
There you go, boom.
Tuesdays and Fridays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. It's really cool. You can guys subscribe on it with promo code Godfrey. And it's actually Godfrey 30 and it's free till May 15th. So, but yeah, man, I'm podcasting. I'm doing that. I'm on other people's shows just like you're doing now. I'm glad you're doing it. Fuck. Damn. I mean, you're from Workaholics. You're from, Comedy Central. People know you. I think you're one of the funniest dudes around. Period. Like underrated as fuck. And you should be on. You should be on. You're not. You're a fucking nut, dude. You should be on. You're a smart dude. You should be on. People should be like, oh, fucking Erik Griffin, that dude's nuts. You should be interviewing all kinds of people. You should be present on these fucking platforms, bro.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do, and I didn't realize that. I figure, I feel like better late than never, And you know what I mean. But it's like I know it's like, I think it's just a victim of like because you're in your 40s, right?
Yeah.
And so like when we were coming up, it was the tail end of, whatever was happening in the 80s, 90s, like, you know, it's like coming off Chris Tucker and Def Jam and like all that stuff. And so that was when we were like still trying to like find our way. And then comedy's been stagnant. It was stagnant for many years and then got reinvigorated again with like the internet, man. Just the internet really.
What's really beautiful is like I go live every week, every night from like 12 to 5 a.m. But I've been even on the road 2 years ago. 2.5 years, I was always going live. You know, I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm spending my hotel time online. I'm going to set up my shit on the desk. You know those hotel desks.
Yeah.
And I would go in the afternoon and be on there 2-3 hours, just talking shit, interview. What's up? What's that? Blah, blah, blah. Then after I would finish my shows, sometimes I'd be in the green room talking into it. Then I'd go back to my room, get on for another 2-3 hours. But I was doing this for the longest. So now, with the COVID virus shit, I do it every night, and a lot of my people followed. And and now my live, I don't have an hour limit. I go they gave me a 4-hour stretch. You know what I mean? And you're in people's faces. And during COVID, I've had Will Packer seen me and Afion Crockett do shit. Will Packer I communicated with Russell Simmons. I communicated with Tasha, different people. You never know. People are watching everybody because people are home, bro. And Dame Dash said it best. He said, man, I'm up every day creating. Everybody's like, people are asleep right now. Everybody got their guard down right now.
Yeah.
It's time for us it would be, if you're an idiot, if you're not trying to use these platforms right now, you're a fucking idiot.
Because this might be the only thing that there is.
What do you say?
I mean, this might be the only thing there is for the next 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, unless you're one of them superstars that don't need this shit, like the Brad Pitts and the fucking Rocks or even the Rock is online.
Yeah. No, because everybody wants to commune. Everybody wants to like interact. Everybody wants to like, this is the reason why they work all the time, because they want to be in movies and like whatever that thing is. Yeah. And so like, they probably miss that too, no matter who you are. You know what I mean? So we're just out here, and I've been putting out extra content because I just feel, and you know what I really appreciate is when I get these kind of messages all the time. I'm sure you do too. Where people go, yo man, I really appreciate your channel because it's like I'm alone, or I've been bored, or I'm just depressed, and you really keeping me up and that kind of stuff. And so this is what we're doing right now. We're just trying to like, and I actually even when we get back to doing regular shit, I'm still gonna do my podcast like this because
don't stop.
Because I feel like it has actually been okay. You know what I mean? Like it looks great, and it's like and
there's a freedom. The thing is about us is because comedians, we always want to be able to run our own game. We've always wanted to be able to call our own shots, and a lot of times we audition for people's shit. We're always auditioning for other people writing for us. Sometimes you can't even be free within a script. You can't improv. Can you stick with the script? Can you not do this? Can you not do that? And you're like, damn. So we're always trying to fight for freedom. And this is what, once you do your part, you'll be like, man, I feel like more business oriented.
Yeah,
me
too.
Wow, I can monetize this. Now I can do it. It's the first time I felt like a brand. Like, this is my brand. This is my, you get into a business mentality.
But we did it the other way.
Right.
And I'm saying like, we used Hollywood. No. I'm saying we did Hollywood because it was lucrative. I wanted to be on a TV show because I always wanted to be on a TV show. But if I start to really think about it, it was because also the money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then it wasn't until I started doing TV shows that I was like, there's no money in this. Where's this money at? I was like, where? I ain't making no money. Where's the money? You know what I mean? So it's like, you get these like weird pay scales and stuff. And I was like, oh shit, you actually have to be like more famous, be like, they have to be able, you have to be on a show where they can't make it without you. That's when you make money. You know what I mean? Not being like the seventh lead. So, what's happened recently is we found another way to have a lucrative business with what we do, with our personalities, with our comedy, with our, you know what I mean? With, that kind of stuff, But anyways, hey man, that's been an hour. I appreciate you, talking. I know we could talk for more, but I don't want to, people know their attention spans are terrible. But I want to have you on again, soon. Because especially as long as this is going on, to see what's going on. But this is Godfrey. Any closing thoughts?
Man, like I said, just like I said, for us creative people, we are carrying the weight of the hours that are open. I don't care when you turn your podcast on, when you turn your lives on, we are literally getting people through this shit, man, honestly. And I think it would behoove all creatives to use this platform. I don't give a fuck. Don't feel bad about the numbers. You see somebody with 100,000. I don't give a fuck. You see 2 people, you see 8 people. That's important. It's like when you perform on stage, are you going to get off stage because there's 10 people in the room? No, you're going to go all out.
Right.
You're going to do your thing. And you don't know who the fuck those 10 people are, who the fuck those 5. I don't want to sound all corny, but it's real shit.
No, it is real shit. I know exactly what you're saying. You never know.
It's real shit. And here's another thing about social media. It's work. It's not a luck thing, really. You have to do it all. It's like comedy. You got to get on stage. You got to get on phone. Yeah. All the time. You got to do it consistently.
But you know who figured that out before us was these social media stars. They figured it out before us.
And my props, I don't want anybody to take this like I was shitting on anybody. Not at all. I have learned from a lot of
me too.
I learned from them and their hustle. And the one thing I saw about them that was different than our school, they all work with each other. They all combine forces. They all Voltron and go, yo, because I was at King Batch's house. This guy's one of the nicest guys in the world. And and so innovative. He's a film major too.
Yeah.
Canadian. That's where that kindness comes from. So he comes in, people in his house, they're shooting stuff. Okay, we're going to shoot this sketch. Bop, bop, bop. You go over there, you shoot that sketch. Boom. When you're ready, I'll switch. Everybody's just eating, man, sharing. Just sharing, dude.
Yeah.
And that's how my numbers went up, And Rennie is another guy that knows King Batch. They hooked me up with you. And we just shot and my numbers went up. And then a new demographic opened up. 17-year-olds, 15-year-olds like, yo, you're the guy from the da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah. I know.
But when I got off my ass and took the initiative, I said, oh, fuck this. I'm going to start asking. My ego was out the way. I said, shit. And now I do my own sketches. Now it's a habit for me. I'm like, I check my numbers. It's part of me now. And I'm glad. I'm glad it's a habit. I'm glad it's a habit because it does change your demographic. It does. When I do Vlad TV, I start doing Vlad TV on YouTube. Demographic change. All of that shit helps, but you gotta be consistent. You gotta put it down. I'm telling you, take it from me, man. I was at 8,000 followers like because I'm closing in on 400,000.
There you go. And there it is right there. So this is just another example of following your dream. Learn how to hustle. This is a hustle that everything takes work. It's like, some people have gone viral, but you don't know all the things that they did before then to prepare to get there. It's not just like it's not overnight. These people work hard.
I got viral shit up and down, up and down. Another example is Tony Baker.
Work.
Holy, you talk about a motherfucker that worked this bitch. Tony Baker, who's one of such a funny comedian.
Yeah.
That son of a bitch. You talk about really changing and really innovative in his videos. That guy took that shit by the reins, man.
He's been on the podcast too, man. I got him on too.
And Tony Baker be like, man, God, man, that video I saw the other day, that was good, man. Man, that was good, man. He's like, man, yeah, I watch all your videos, man. They be having me laughing. They good, man. I love Tony Baker.
By the way, great. I wish he was more famous so people can.
Like, man,
if he was more famous, people would appreciate that impression even more.
And they know. And when I'm online and Tony comes on with me, Tony Baker, it's great. And he shares. He comes on my shit. He enhances my shit. Yeah. This is Eric, man. I be stressing this shit. I talked to Kamal Bell today. and I was on his live, and our numbers went up. I said, Kamal's starting to get on it. I said, we all can enhance each other. Those white boys, I'm telling white boys, them motherfuckers be looking out for each other, even if they don't like each other that much. They'll be damned if they don't come together and rise up.
Well, especially in the podcast world, you know what I mean?
Woo,
they got kingmakers in the podcast world.
Man, Joe Rogan, Kreischer, Brian Callen, they look the fuck out.
Yeah.
We need to do the same. I don't know how to stress it. We need to cut out that dumb shit.
Hey, I'm here. I got you on. I'm trying to do it.
I said we all need to be like, yo, come on my shit. We need to do that because we have the ability to do it. We have it. We can build just like them. We can be kingmakers too. Shit. Fuck that.
I feel you. Well, you heard it here first, man. That's it right there, man. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate your energy. I appreciate what you're doing. Always one of the funniest guys around. We love going to JFL together because that's like summer camp. You know what I mean? I don't know when that's going to come back. I don't know when there's going to be another like one of those. That shit is just so fun. Some of our best times.
They said September, October, probably.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But who knows? But anyways, guys, this has been Godfrey, and you can see him on in Godfrey We Trust. That's his podcast. It's on what's the network again?
Gas Digital Network, and promo code Godfrey, and also my Instagram is Godfrey's my Instagram, and I'll
have all that information below. If you guys look below, all his information will be there. Yeah, so you're gonna be great. But anyways, it's good talking to you, man, and I'll see you soon. All right, that's been Godfrey, everybody. Thank you very much, man.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.